human existence, so long as it affects you and I, and it's a matter of urgent importance. We'll continue to discuss it right here. So kindly send tell a friend that we're live, and let's have practical, intellectually edifying conversations. So you can actually subscribe and share the link, and basically start sending your comments based on what we are going to be highlighting here. So I'm going to highlight some certain things that are currently trending in Nigeria at the moment. What I mean is conversations that are actually taking the bars and setting the polity ablaze, where people are converging and giving their recommendation, criticizing, either downplaying or strategizing. So as it stands at this very moment, there is heated tension between Nigeria and Burkina Faso because of Nigeria's detained plane craft, including 11 soldiers, all right, who were in that plane, and the 2 pilots. Now, the latest update is that they've been moved to an isolated site. So what is it? Apparently, the Nigerian government has been unable to formally prove to the junta that the AC or the C-130 aircraft was indeed flying to Portugal. The junta suspects the aircraft was a spill from the ones deployed to thwart the Benin coup, as alleged sources disclosed very recently based on those following the story. Now, you will know that in 2023, December to be precise, Burkina Faso arrested 4 French nationals in Ouagadougou, accused them of espionage, that is, being spies. The French government denied they were, spies, though, but the junta demanded 150 million euros and some equipment in exchange for their release. Now, after prolonged negotiations and mediation by Morocco, the Burkina government finally released them exactly 1 year later in December of 2024. So because of what happened in Benin Republic, I'm sure a couple of you who have been following the conversation with what transpired in Benin Republic last weekend, where we heard that there was almost a military coup. Well, because of what happened at the time, the Nigerian government sent some fighter jets to go restore calm and apprehend the military junta, that is those who wanted to take over the government. They've been getting accolades from neighboring countries, that is West African countries. They've been getting accolades. Even a couple of Nigerians have been accolading the president for being swift and precise in having to ensure that calm was restored in Burkina Faso, or rather in Guinea. Yes, in Guinea. But the problem is the fact that after that, we now heard that 2 planes that were supposedly either coming from a reconnaissance mission in Guinea were apprehended. Now, the Nigerian government disclosed to us that that plane was going to Portugal. The Portugal government has not said anything precisely. What we heard is that Portugal said they weren't aware of Nigeria having any plane coming over to Nigeria. That's what we heard, that Portugal was not aware of it. But as it stands at this very moment, at this critical juncture, those soldiers and the 2 pilots have been taken to an isolation point. They've been taken to a site, an isolated site, and it's a very scary situation. Nigerians have been asking for the Nigerian government to please hasten their diplomatic talks with Burkina Faso so those individuals will be released. The families said they've been kept incommunicado. They've not been able to have access to their family members. They have not been able to speak with them, no contact with them. So everyone is waiting with the Nigerian government negotiation in terms of whatever diplomatic relationship they have for there to be a resolve and the soldiers can return home, and including the return of the plane that was detained or seized by the Burkina Faso government. But there are talks that if they refuse to release those planes and the Nigerian soldiers, there could be a war. Now, how that would take place is what we don't know. A couple of persons say Nigerian doesn't have the strength or the capacity to go to war with any neighboring country because of the insurgency they're currently battling with. They've not been able to handle insurgency in the country, not to talk of having to go to war with Burkina Faso. Yes, our military might is more than them. When it comes to level or hierarchy, our military hierarchy is basically more than them. But is it what Nigeria needs now with the impending situation within security? We're trying to deploy all the might available to ensure that we're able to rout out Boko Haram, ISWAP, and the likes. So these are conversations that have been had across board, and everyone is sincerely talking about it, and everyone is expressing their worry that whatever conversation needs to be had needs to be done as fast as possible. Nobody knows what the Nigerian government agents that are being kept in detainment with the Burkina Faso government are currently going through, the kind of torture they're going through, if they're doing okay. Well, that is something that they had to handle as soon as possible. Now, the Nigerian government had come out and told us that the plane had been released, including the soldiers, all for the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Yusuf Toga, to tell us that no, they are still in custody of the Burkina Faso government, that they're still negotiating. So the question was, why would the Nigerian government come out and lie and give a false information about the current status of the Nigerian soldiers? What was the need? What was the essence of running to the media to say something that wasn't true when everyone could tell that they hadn't seen any visuals that indicates that Burkina Faso government had released the airplane, or even the passengers who were there and the military pilots who were in there as well? And when I mean passengers, I'm not talking of literal passengers. I'm talking about, the crew that accompanied the pilots for whatever it was they were going to Portugal for, where they needed to cross the airspace of Burkina Faso unannounced, and they said they needed to do what you call emergency landing. So while that conversation is ongoing, then in the political scenario, the situation is very heated. So let's take it like this. The ADC has been calling on Peter Obi to please make his intention known as soon as possible. They've been telling him that they need to start off groundwork. They need to establish structure, that it is imperative for them to establish structure, and for them to do that, every other person whom they have decided will join the coalition needs to make their intention known as soon as possible. So Atiku, has made his intention known. He's now a member of the ADC. El Rufai too is now a full member of the ADC. The day El Rufai was collecting his membership card, he made reference to Peter Obi that, very soon he will also join. Tinubu will not come back in 2027. Peter Obi himself had also told us that in November, he will tell us the political party he'll be running with. But up till now, we haven't heard anything. So on a very recent television interview that Abdullahi had, that is the publicity spokesperson of the ADC, had with News Central and a couple of other media outlets, they asked questions, why is Peter Obi stolen? And Bolaji Abdullahi said, you would have to ask him. Now, he said that they asked them, okay, what about the zoning formula? It's now the time of the South. Peter Obi had indicated that there are some gray areas, meaning that they haven't indicated where they are zoning the ticket to, and that he would like to know until those gray areas are resolved and everybody knows what they're doing, right? But Bolaji Abdullahi said they're not doing anything about zoning for now. They're not doing anything zoning. They're not talking about zoning. No one is talking about zoning. They just want as many people as possible to join the party, and then they should establish structure across the 36 states of the federation. So if you know how political parties work in Nigeria right about now, the well-grounded established political parties are the APC and PDP. They have all their words and local governments representation across the 36 states of the federation. There is no ward or local government you would go to that you wouldn't see a small corner that is the office of the APC or the PDP. Now, other political parties, in as much as they're trying to extend their tentacles to all of these local governments across the federation, it's not something they've been effectively able to do. Another question that Nigerians are asking is, this coalition, is it just to unseat Tinubu, or do you want to be a party that will have consistency? Because if it is all about unseating Tinubu, you will have issues. If you don't have an ideology, if you don't have principles, if you don't have something you stand by, people will always join the party for their personal interests. And once they cannot achieve whatever it is they think the party will deliver to them, they would leave. So if you don't want to start having internal issues, factions, misunderstanding, irreconcilable differences, it's important for the ADC to have a clear-cut direction of what they are, what they're doing, and to zone it. So Peter Obi has not yet joined them, but everyone has been asking him to please kindly join, specifically the ADC members. Even APC too have been waiting to know Peter Obi's next line of action, what he intends to do. Now, here is the scenario. Bolaji Abdullahi was on a space today where he got to speak to some ADC members and respond to some questions. Bolaji Abdullahi said that what they're really working on is to ensure that they galvanize and get grassroots mobilization. They need to galvanize as soon as possible, that it is very imperative, and the party needs to start establishing a structure. That's what they want to do first before anything else. Okay, so they asked, what about the zoning? He said nothing about about zoning is on the table for now. All they want to do is to ensure that more political members who have an insight, who have the zeal to rescue Nigeria from its current quagmire, join the movement, join the party, and that way, collaboratively, they would unseat Tinubu in 2027. So obviously, they ask a question, for example, if Peter Obi is stolen, it means that there are some gray areas. It could also be the zoning, because Peter Obi has come out to declare that he's running for president. And if you're running for president and Atiku is also running for president, you will still have the same result that we saw in 2023. So how do we prevent that situation from happening, where we don't get to see that same result of 2023, but rather we see something that is a combination of Atiku's people and Peter Obi's people, which will be more than Tinubu? But a couple of people feel that 2023 is different from 2027. The factors that were undermined in 2023, the APC has learned a lesson from it. They're not going to allow it happen. They've been able to silence people. They've been able to restructure their party. They've been able to compensate individuals who are angry or not happy by not giving certain positions or whatever. They are the party in charge, and they have the money to compensate anybody who is disgruntled with the party's decision. Okay, so if that is the case, you are contesting or going against a party that is currently in power, so they don't have issues with finance. How do you intend to galvanize and also get finance? Most of these political parties, what makes them go under or not being talked about is money. The reason why you see Nyesom Wike, when he was strangling the opposition and he seemed to be the only person keeping the PDP ongoing, was because the money was sourcefully coming from him. He was basically one of the strong persons that was financing the party, and that was why they were seen as a major political movement. But most political parties right about now cannot be resuscitated because of money. They need money. So right now, the obedients who want to join the ADC are asking questions. How do we join? What do we need to do? What does it entail to be a member in the party? Some people said that there's no ADC in any ward in their local government. There's no ADC at all. That the only party you will see in their local government is either APC or PDP. Now, these are the vacuum that the ADC needs to fill up. How do you unconsciously or subconsciously be in the minds of the ordinary Nigerian on that election day, whereby when they're voting, they know that there is an ADC, not an APC and a PDP, there is an ADC. How do you intend to make that a norm for anyone listening or anyone being part of the conversation to get to unconsciously in their words, in their local government, that ADC is a political party to belong? How do you intend to string that along, right? Anyways, as it stands right now, Bolaji Abdullah now said in that particular space that there has been nothing offered. That is, Peter Obi has not expressed any challenge. He hasn't demanded for anything. So if Peter Obi has not demanded for anything, what have you guys been discussing for more than 18 months since you said you came together to form the coalition? What have you guys been talking about? Like literally, what have you guys been doing? For more than 18 months, that this coalition, you guys eventually told us during your unveiling that you guys have been having conversations and you decided to make it a realistic venture. So wasn't that part of the conversation when you guys were talking from the onset, that now it seems to be a derailing factor for a certain person to join the coalition after somehow getting the assurance that this person will join the coalition? There are others that feel that Peter Obi will still join, but he's not going to declare now because anything he does, the APC will mutilate it. Some people say, please, dead that talk. We no longer believe in all of that, whatever. Right now, if he's interested, he should indicate and let us know where we're going. Some people feel that some APC persons are disguising as obedience, so they will not advise Peter Obi or tell him the absolute truth. So if that's the case, please, you watching this live video, what is the absolute truth? Should Peter Obi join the ADC without any clear-cut path, without any conversation, without any promise made, so that when he joins, then they will say, oh, you just be the VP, or you could be one of the logistic person that will galvanize support for us? everyone understands the fear of Peter Obi and him keeping everything close to his chest, where that those who even work with him, like in close proximity with him, don't even know the state of his mind. That people call him like you're wooing a bride or whatever. He listens to them and then possibly gives them what he thinks they should adopt, and then he leaves if they don't do that 100%. So he believes that running for presidency is not something you do by force. It's actually something that he feels not all Nigerians require for good leadership. He has also disclosed via a CNN interview that he intends to rule Nigeria. He intends to be the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, and that he would do that with everything in him if given the opportunity to do so. That's what he said. So hold him accountable if he happens to be chosen and he doesn't live up to expectations. But the question with the ADC is, can they move on without a Peter Obi being part of them? Do they need Peter Obi to be part of whatever it is they want to do? I mean, they can literally just go ahead and do what they want to do, see how they can woo other candidates to join the party, those who still have the clout and those who still have the finance to join the movement, to join the party, that they have a chance to be something, either the secretary of the party, you want to be a governor, House of Rep member. Why don't you start now that it feels like the party is unpopular, so you can have some sort of reverence or relevance in future? That's what everybody is saying. But this is the scenario right about now for Peter Obi and his supporters. A couple of people feel that Peter Obi should not trade or go for less. That's what they're saying. Don't go for less. You have what it takes to be a presidential candidate. If they're not going to zone into the South, then drop it. You don't have to run. You don't have to be part of the process. We know that a lot of people don't deserve you to be Nigeria's president, that slaves who love their chains should remain in their chains. Others feel that Peter Obi should join the ADC, be advised. Anybody other than Tinubu in 2027, let Peter Obi work with Atiku to ensure that in 2027 Tinubu doesn't come back. Others believe that if Peter Obi decides to run independently, that is run on his own, then it certainly means that he is working for Tinubu, that because he knows that if they go through the same method they did in 2023, then Tinubu is sure to win 2027. So if he does refuse to join the ADC and run with a different political party where Atiku will run differently and he will run differently, then they have obviously given the win to Tinubu. It's a smooth sail. So a couple of people who have been waiting for Peter Obi to make up his mind, to tell them what to do, to decide where to go, they've been asking questions, while some have been keeping mute along with him, waiting for him to declare his intention and the political party he intends to run with. But what happens now is this: is the ADA registration still ongoing? Is there another political party that somehow they try to extend their hands of brotherhood to Mr. Peter Obi, that he is considering arithmetically doing a proper strategic calculation so nobody uses him and then drops him or abandons him when the when the going gets tough? That's what a lot of persons are saying. So the idea for Peter Obi is, okay, if you want me to join the ADC, you need to zone into the South. If you're not going to zone it to the South, I have to look for other alternatives that will zone to the South. I'll maybe preferably take that one. It doesn't mean that I still don't support the coalition. But the coalition has been pressing further and saying he needs to make up his mind. If he doesn't make up his mind at once or as fast as possible, they would leave him alone and they would move on. They wouldn't care until whenever time. It doesn't mean that the party gets themselves ready and then Peter Obi just comes in and says that, oh, I want to join the party, or I want you to give me automatic ticket. They said it doesn't work that way. Everybody needs to work hard together to put the ADC political party in a pedestal, to make it more recognizable, to make it be in the subconscious of any Nigerian who comes to the polling unit to cast their votes. So while electoral reform is ongoing, individuals who support each of their presidential candidates are packaging and giving recommendations and ideas. The Baptists, that Bola Ahmed Tinubu supporters, are doing this. The Articulated are doing this. The Obedient are doing that. In the whole process, the polity is kind of tensed up because of the method of the kind of politics they introduce in the system, which is politics of tribalism, nepotism, and bigotry. That's the kind of system that currently is holding sway right now. If you're in Lagos or any of the southwestern states, there is no how you wouldn't have gone through one whatever or the other, that doesn't seem right as a typical Nigerian, as someone whose ancestral land is here. The fact that you're not in your ancestral home doesn't mean that you can be somewhere else. That's what the Constitution states. But hey, the interesting thing to note is this: we will continue to monitor the space. Mr. Peter Obi will need to make up his mind very soon. But if he's not joining the ADC, then the ADC should decide to move on. And whatever political party Peter Obi intends to join, he needs to know that you need more than one region. A couple of persons are saying they're waiting for him to declare so they can release their money. A lot of persons don't trust the persons in the ADC. That's why they're skeptical with Peter Obi joining the ADC. I mean, you have Malam Nasir El-Rufai. You have the former Attorney General of the Federation, that Malami. You also have Dino Malai there. You also have, what's his name? David Mark there. Atiku is there. El-Rufai is there. Nuhuri Badu. Oh, no, he's not there. That's the NSA. That's the National Security Advisor. I mean, but you have some prominent persons who don't like this government there and who have one financial situation or the other. So they're painting it in a certain way that is colorative. But the important thing that Nigerians should take hold of is you need to stand up for yourself and represent yourself, and don't wait for a messiah from somewhere to hand over everything you have to that person so that the person can now begin to stay on the front line for you. The fear is not on the person on the front line. The fear is on the magnitude, the population, the crowd behind the person on the front line. That's the person that everyone should be afraid of. I don't know if you understand what I'm trying to say, but hey, this season, like I said, 2027 is going to be quite engaging. Meanwhile, in Kaduna, bandits severed a hand of a young girl. So this young girl, the mother has been denying suitors from the Fulani ethnic extraction. They've been coming around to ask for the daughter's hand in marriage, several of them, but the parents denied them. The parents declined. So these boys took this girl, kind of kidnapped her, and cut off her hand. That's what's happening in northern Nigeria. It's embarrassing that we're still going through this at this point in time. It's also terrible that insecurity seems to have taken sway and everybody seems to be swimming in it. In as much as Nigerians want something different, their leaders, where there, are meant to be held responsible, are meant to account to the people. There's a lack of empathy, basically apathy towards the plight of Nigerians, and the irresponsibility of the government in paying attention to these issues, because they've been consistent for so long, has been nothing short of degenerating and overwhelming. So I would like to know what you think. Should Peter Obi join the ADC and become a VP, despite the fact that there's no clear-cut agreement? Now, Bolaji Abdullahi is saying Peter Obi did not tell them if he wants anything. He has not given any condition at all. He's in the ADC. He has not given any condition. He hasn't said, for me to vote for this person, you have to do this. He hasn't done any of that. That's what Bolaji Abdullahi is saying. So if there was no demand made by Peter Obi, then where is the whole Peter Obi or nothing coming from? Why must Peter Obi be, I really, anyways, I'd like to know what your thoughts are in the comment section. Make sure that we educate ourselves intellectually is quite imperative. And since the situation with the government and Nigeria's insecurity, Nigerians have looked for a means through which they can protect themselves. I hope whatever method is that is consistent. All right, interesting. I would like to say good night to all of you. Have yourself an amazing evening. I seem to already be sleeping off, so make sure that you have fun, and we'll see you next time. Bye for now.